Ms. Kumari, I'd like to begin with you. Now, we do know that while child marriages are prevalent all across the world, in some regions we see a higher rate of them. What factors do you feel, unique sociological factors, play into this?
Well, the child marriage in especially our part of the region, which is South Asia, it's also a feudal cultural tradition, which continues the understanding that when you marry off, or family marries off a pre-pubertal girl, then they get the benefit of giving her away in marriage, which is a kind of donation, kanyadan. And also in many other communities, it is differently understood, whether it is, Islamic groups or whether it is Christians. All communities in India follow it with different variations. So I won't say that, but amongst the Hindus, it is the highest and most prevalent. Also, the reasons are that to look at the, because the honor of the family lies with the women's body in some way. They feel very worried about her getting violated or her getting, abused by others in the village or in the family. And third, that she is grown up, and if she makes a choice of her own, then families normally, because of the caste, religion, and all kinds of restrictions, will not accept that. And also it's a kind of transfer of economic responsibilities of the family. So I would say it's a combination of reasons and issues that we have still very high prevalence of child marriages in India. We did in fact a very intensive study in northern Indian states to look at why people still marry off the girls. And most important reason these days especially was found to be the safety and the security of the girl child. And families don't want to carry that burden on themselves. Once married off, they feel that, now her chastity will be protected by the in-laws family, or they are responsible, the family is not responsible. So, and also because of a lot of poverty in our region is also pushing families to do away with this economic response. So I would say that this combination of issues and reasons why
Ms. Kumari, and you're
marriage
rightly pointing out a plethora of factors that lead to child marriages. Now, I do want to humanize this debate. In all of this, I want to be sensitive to culture, I want to be sensitive to tradition, but also understand what is a global consensus of sorts. Now, it is to be said that parents who get their children married off early, there is nothing to prove that they don't love their children enough than any other person. In this, when we have a debate such as this, something so sensitive, how should we keep cultural sensitivity and tradition in the conversation and be cognizant of it?
Well, the issue of keeping the sensitivity also is in conflict with keeping the rights. A child which is, for us, it's very early, sometimes even 5 years, 7 years, 11 years, whatever age, the girls and the boys, even the boys have no choice in this. They may be a little elder to the girl, but then when the marriage happens, even the boys have no choice. So first of all, there is absolutely no choice given to the children. They don't understand what marriage means. They don't know what the consequences of getting married would be. And also the ability to carry out the family responsibility as it is understood in marriage, that it has to be both sides capable of looking after each other in terms of social, economic and physical needs. All are not met in this kind of child marriage situation. And also in some sense, the girls especially are pushed into the marriage, and if the boys are much older, then it is also some amount of, physical coercion. It's also sexual assault, because the girls are not able to say no, because in marriage it is absolutely, then why should we say that below 18, if the girl is, sexually, some kind of a physical contact happens, and it's a kind of sexual assault, and it's child rape. So this is something which also we'll have to keep in mind. So cultural traditions which are violating the human rights and rights given by the Constitution will have to be re-looked at. And this is what it is. So I don't
Ms. Kumari, I agree with you there that those interests that are culturally motivated but are in conflict with human rights need to be reevaluated, need to be critically looked at. But what I mean to say is that people are, of course, a product of their conditions, of their environment, of the sociological upbringing they've had. how do we engage with them meaningful in a way that it doesn't alienate them from the conversation? We are also relatable. We also talk and have a conversation in which they understand this point of view being put across.
I think there are three arguments which are very convincing. One is the health and the medical side of the argument, that the body is not ready when the girls start producing children. As a result, all the future children are not really healthy, and also it affects the life and the health of the women in a very, very critical way. And secondly, the education argument that you are depriving girl children and boys. I mean, not so much for boys, but girl children of possibility of going for education. So really, taking away the childhood from the child is something that's what the marriage does, and also taking away the opportunity of growth in terms of education, and also then future employment, that they will be able to stand on their own feet. So that also will prevent. The third argument would be they will be protected against any forms of violence. They are capable of looking after themselves, making their own income after education, so they can stand on their own feet, look after themselves, their families, even support their men. So I feel that it's very important to understand that whether it is biological point of view, whether it is education and economic point of view, or whether you look at the knowledge and education perspective, it is really important to understand, and that's the argument we are promoting in our country when we are mobilizing people against child marriage, that if you give opportunity to girls, they are doing as well and as good as the boys. And that also ensures the future generation to be healthy and robust, educated, and also economically self-sufficient. So if we want to develop as society, as people, as human beings, then we really have to do away with child marriages, and we have to really engage ourselves into dialogue. It won't happen as a coercive strategy. It cannot, because after all, societies will have to. It's a generational issue, and societies will have to. Change has to be negotiated in this sense.